Hello friends, today we are going to learn the Docker Compose, and our application needs a MySQL database. So for that we are going to use the image for MySQL, and then we'll see how the Docker Compose makes the process easy. We have MySQL image this time, but when we keep building our application, we may need different uh, different like messaging server like Kafka. Sometimes we need RabbitMQ, and this time we need the MySQL image or so MySQL database. So we have the options, how to install MySQL in our local computer. So the one option can be we can install the MySQL locally. We can also install the Kafka locally, RabbitMQ locally. So that's the one option, but there is the better option, that is image. Like we can use the image, and then we can bring the MySQL using the image. So that's a really good option, because sometimes we need a different version of the MySQL, and it's a difficult to configure MySQL in the local. If you have installed locally, it takes time, research and change the config and come back. So in that way, the containerized way is very much easier. So today we'll see that, and we can see the file here at the day5 Golang code and day5 Java code. And in the next video we'll talk about post API using Golang. So let's start with MySQL image. We'll go to the next slide, and here is the way we can use MySQL image, and we can create the container. So now we'll be thinking, how to get this, the big lines here. So I'll tell you about this. So first thing, just notice here I have used MySQL 8.0. So first try to find out, how to get this information. It's a MySQL 8.0 or something else. So what I do, you go to the Docker hub, and then we can search what we need. So this time, let's say I need the MySQL, so I'll just search here MySQL, and we'll see here MySQL image. Click there, and we have the container MySQL. If you go a little bit below here, there is a different version of the MySQL 8.0 to 7, and if you click on description, we see the description there. Let's see tags. Yeah, let's see the tags. We can see all the tags here. So this gives the information, which MySQL we need. So let's go back again on the MySQL, on the description, and we can see the different version. Let's see, I need 8.0 to 7. If I click there, or let's see some more information here, how to run the container out of that image. So this is the way we have to give this command, docker run, and then name, some name. So that will be the name of your container, and the password user will be the root here. The password for the root is something MySecret pw -d, and then MySQL, and then tag. So tag is, this is the tag 8027 or 57. So that's a tag, and in that way we can run the MySQL using a Docker. So what will you do? We'll create the container, and we'll go inside the MySQL and see whether we can log in there or not. And the similar thing, so once we are done with this, then we'll use this docker compose to achieve the same thing. So let's see what this is saying. This line is saying, docker run name and Golang quote MySql is my container, and inside the container MySql will run at port 3306, but from the outside I can access MySql using port 3400. So that's what this port mapping. And there is one more information here, it's given, and if you see the colon, and there is something on the left portion of the colon, and there is something on right portion of the colon. So the left portion is saying there is some folder, dev docker Golang quote MySql, that this folder is in my local computer, and on the right side we see the var lib MySql. So what it does, this, whenever we create some tables on database, then that, the informations will be stored in this location. So what happens if you stop your container, and then maybe you can delete the container, and next time if you want to run your container again, like you want to create the new container, your data won't be lost, the data will be there itself. So for that reasons we are doing this. This is this is the mapping for that. And -e for the environment, and that's a root password is admin and user is root. I'm also creating a new user called user1, and for the user1 the password is secret. I'm using the image MySql 8.0, and there's one more information here I have given, lowercase table names. That means it will allow the table names in a lowercase. So that's what this line does. So in a Docker Hub you can search MySql and you can find all this information over there, and from there I got this information. Let's use this, and let's create the container for this. So once we create the container, it will be running in background, and this is the command we can use to go inside the running container. So I'm saying docker exec interactive mode, and see, this is the exact name I'm using here, Golang quote MySql, that's the name here. Then bin sh, we'll use this, and then we'll use the MySql, this command root p admin, we can give this admin password, this password here, and then we can go inside MySql. We can also use the user1, and the password is secret, user1 and password is secret, and using this we can go inside the container. So once we verify all these things, we'll stop that container, we'll remove the container, we'll come out, and then next video, or in the next, not the next video, but in the next, what we'll do, we'll achieve the similar things using the Docker Compose. So if you read this, Docker Compose is a tool that was developed to help define and share multi-container applications. With Compose you can create a YAML file to define the services, and with a single command you can spin everything up or tear it all down. So what does it mean? So now we have the MySql, and then we know we need this long command to run the MySql container. For the Kafka we need similar kind of big lines for the Kafka, for RabbitMQ, or for our application itself. So what we do next, we'll create the YAML file, some YAML file, and we'll put all this information in some format, and using this one command, docker compose up dbuild, it will run the MySql container, and it will also run our application. And with this one command, docker compose down, we can stop every container. That's one thing we'll do. And we'll also see it's saying create new image container out of old image. So we know there is an image called MySQL 8.0. What we do, we'll utilize this image and then we'll add our own informations over there. So all the information, what we say, okay, I need MySQL container, and then I also want to create some table. So that information I want to add to my new image. So for that, I have given this line like create new image container out of old image. So we'll see that also. So let's start from this command. So let me copy this. And this is the Golang. This is the Docker compose. Will come back here. So what I do, I'm saying docker run, that's the command, and then hit enter. Let me make it a bit larger. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the container that's created, the next thing we'll use this command docker exec, and then let's see, let me do like docker ps. What is your, okay, this is Golang code, so that's the container. Okay, so let me use like docker exec and then it and use this name. So that's our container. Okay, I copy do it. Okay, so it's a Golang and then go to MySQL. It's there here. Docker exec. Okay, so last command, I mean, you'll see that's a bin sh. I missed that. That's the bin sh. So we'll do that. Okay, now we are here. Next thing, we are now we are inside the container, MySQL container. So next what we'll do, we'll try to log into MySQL using this command. It's a MySQL and then user is root, and then password, give the password without giving any space. So the password is, it's admin, and enter. So now we are in the MySQL. So yeah, so that's great. We are using the MySQL container, and that's, we have not installed that MySQL locally, but we are using the container for the MySQL. Okay, so databases, and there is a, yeah, all this default databases here. That's good. Yeah, so we can exit now. We can exit from the container. That's good. Even we can use the same, like let's see this also, MySQL user, and yeah, so try to log in MySQL, and the user is user1 and the password is secret. Oh, okay, so we came out from the Docker. No, okay, so now we can do the same command. Let me copy this and paste it here. Okay, now we are inside the MySQL. So databases, good. Okay, let's come out from there. Okay, so that's the one way we can create the MySQL container. Let's see, we can achieve the similar thing using the Docker compose YAML. Yeah, before that, remove that container, or first stop the container. So let's see the Docker ps. I know this is the container, so I'm going to stop this container first. Docker stop. Okay, let's remove that also. So in that way, our port will be free and we can utilize that port here. Okay, so how we can achieve the similar things using the Docker Compose YAML. So here is a Docker Compose YAML, and that is on the home of this code. So you see inside the code, and the name should be exactly the same. So Docker-compose YAML. If the name is different, then you have to pass the name with your command, with the Docker Compose command. So for the default way is the Docker-compose YAML. That's the file, and I have defined the two services here. Let's see what is these two services. One is for MySQL, and I also need the code one. So in the last video we saw how to create the image, and then create the container for the code one, and then we ran that using the Docker run. Today we also use the Docker run to run MySQL. In the last video we used the Docker run to run our application, but this time what we are doing, we'll use the one command, Docker Compose, and then we'll run both MySQL as well as our application. Let's see what I'm doing here in a MySQL one. So I will tell you what is this comment is a little bit later, but for now I'm just going to enable. I'm saying okay, I'm going to use the MySQL 8.0 image, and that's the valid image. This is something I will tell you later. I'm just going to comment for now. So okay, so that's good. I'm using the valid MySQL 8.0 tag, and that's from the Docker Hub. I'm using that image, and when I run this, I'm giving the information, okay, my container will be MySQL 1, my container name will be MySQL 1. So that's I'm saying. Restart always. So it will try to restart. If something wrong, it will keep trying restart. So restart always. I'm going to comment this also here. Context it dot. So when I build, it will take the current path. So that's why I commented this thing. I'll come to this line after some time. Okay, that's a MySQL command, MySQL D. There is in an environment variable, I'm saying okay, there is a new user 1, and the password is secret, and for the root user, password is admin, and also create a database called CodeDB. So when we run, it will create the database CodeDB, and the container will run inside the container. The MySQL will run at port 3306, and from outside we can access MySQL using 3400. This is the volumes information, and I have given this so that we can save our information. So for now, though we have information called CodeDB. So that's the information. Let me and this file should be empty if you run first time. So I use this in another container. That's fine, but let me remove for now, and then I can create the empty folder. Okay, that's good. So this is all the information about MySQL 1, and there is another service here, that is our application itself. So in this line, I'm saying the image name, I'm using this, I'm also going to build our image for our application, and image name will be the code1 underscore image, and the container name will be code1, and it's going to use the Dockerfile. So based on the based on the Dockerfile only we can create our application, that all the information is given in the Dockerfile. Our application will run at port 9000, and from outside we can access our application to the port 9100. There's also one more information. I'm saying okay, this is depend on MySQL 1, so that this is the MySQL 1. So first it will start this container, MySQL container, and then code1. This is also I'm saying restart always. Let's run this, clear the screen. So how to run, that's this a Docker compose. So that's information I have given here in a second or maybe in the third slides. You can, I think third slides you can find there. So it's a Docker compose up -t and then build. Let's run this. Yeah, it takes few seconds, and then we'll go and verify whether it created quote 1 image for the application or not. And we can also see this image also there. Okay, that done. MySql 1, and then quote 1. So our application is running. So let's see there. So let's try to see the image first. Docker images, and you can see MySql 8.0. That's good. Quote 1 image, that's a quote 1 image, and the container is quote 1, and yeah, and in this case container is MySql 1. So let's see that also. So we'll do Docker, like use the Docker compose and say ps Docker. Okay, so we can see MySql 1 and the quote 1. Okay, let's so first verify this quote, our application is running at this port or not, 9100. So we come here and just verify this. HTTP localhost, it's a 9100, and then API status. Good, it's running there. That's good. We started our application using the Docker compose. That's good. And this is the YAML file. We added the information. Let's verify this MySql one. So let's do Docker exec and then IT. Then we can go to the MySql one and then bin sh, spelling bin sh. Yeah, so still now we can go there. So that's good. We can so everything looks good here. So in this way you can verify, and we can check our database stuff. So let's do like little bit change here in this file. And what I'm trying to do this time is I'm creating a schema called schemasql, and if you see here, I'm creating the table, saying okay, in a quote dv, go and create the table, this table, and there are another table event link, and we'll use this table in our application later. So I have like a Dockerfile, I have created the Dockerfile MySql, and the first line I'm saying, in the first line I'm using the valid MySql image from the Docker Hub, and then I'm giving one more instructions here, go and use this schemasql. So what it does, based on this, it will use the valid MySql image, it will create container, and inside the container it will go and it will create the table. So okay, so that information, let's modify this in a Docker m. So in this line I'm saying okay, I'm not going to use the original image. I'm going to say okay, my new image will be MySql image 1.0. that's a tag, and the container name will be MySql 1. That's good. And this time I'm going to get this information from Dockerfile MySql. So this is Dockerfile MySql. So when I use this Dockerfile MySql, it will use original Docker image for MySQL, and it will also call this file, and then it will add the tables there. So that's the one change I did here, and everything looks good. And we'll go there and we'll run this. Let me delete this folder again. And let's create that folder. Okay, that's good. And we already started our application and MySQL. Let's stop that. Dockercompose down. You can use this command to stop this. And you can verify docker images, if that's images there. Okay, that's images here. Let's delete that. So docker rmi, and then use this image name space and the MySQL, this one, and there are a few more. Let's delete this also. What is this? MySql. Okay, sometimes, you know, if some container is using that, then it may not delete. So I'm just going to use, you know, the force here. Okay, it's deleted. Docker images will verify. Okay, that's not there. That's good. Let's see docker ps. That's good. Let's use dockercompose ps. Compose ps. Okay, everything looks good now. And this time I'm going to run again the docker compose hyphen compose up d and then build. Okay, it takes few seconds more. It's creating this application, I think. Okay, creating MySQL done, port 1 done. So we'll do the docker compose piece. Okay, and then let's go inside the MySQL one. How will you do that? Docker exec command, then it, and then we'll use the MySQL one bin sh. Okay, so now we are inside the container. Let's log in there. So MySQL, and then user is root, password is admin, so databases, now this time we see extra information, code db, because that's information we have given in this file here, code db. Now so that, like, see the tables, and then command is show tables. So no database selection, use the database, use code db, and then use the same command, show tables. This time you can see event and event link. So that event link, that information we had given in the schemasql. So that's cool. We achieved our we achieved what we wanted to do that. So that's great. Let's see, you know, the similar things in our Java and Spring Boot project. So let me bring that screen. That's here, and if you see here, I have changed a little bit in this Docker compose YAML file. The change is, it's a MySQL 2. I'm running that. I'm running at the port 3500 outside. Other informations, it's almost same. The volumes, I'm using the different volumes, Java quote MySql in my local folder. And for application code 2, I'm using the Dockerfile. So in the last video we have seen how to create the container based on the Dockerfile. So this time we are using the Docker Compose to create the container for our application as well as database MySql. So that's great. We can use the same command here also. So Docker Compose up -t and then build. Yeah, so this is going to take I think 50 seconds or maybe 1 minute, and we can see there we can go in a sim in a we can just go inside the container of the MySql, and then we can verify tables, event and event link, and you can find that. And this is also going to run the application, so we can verify that also. And in this case, the application will run at port 9200 from outside. Internally, application will run at port 9700, and from outside we can access through the port 9200. And this is going to be very helpful for our development. So we need multiple dependencies, like I said, like Kafka, RabbitMQ, or MySql, or maybe something else like Elasticsearch. So what we do, just use the container, use the right image, and we'll keep adding that information here in a Docker Compose file. And in one shot we can start all the dependencies, and you can play around that. So that's all for today. So our database is ready, our table is ready. You can go and you can verify that, like how we did for the Golang. You can, in a similar way, go and you can verify, you can find the tables over there, and we'll use that tables, and then we'll try to create the post API in a Golang first, and we'll see. Thank you.